Good morning. I'll introduce you to my son Daniel, who's here with me. You want to say hello a second?
Hello.
You can head down by Grandma then. Great to be with you this morning and just spend a few minutes giving you an update on what we're up to and what's happening in Nicaragua too. If you want to go ahead and put the slide up of my, yep, there we go. Awesome. Again, I'm here with Daniel, and we're spending this past week with my mom in Selleryville, so it's been wonderful to be here for that time. And my wife, Lisa, was planning on being here with us, but unfortunately her dad went into the hospital shortly before we had to come, and so she stayed back with her mom and dad, and thankfully he's recovered out of the hospital and doing much better now, but it's been good that she's been able to be there with her mom and dad in Iowa, that is. And then our two older kids, Rebecca is our oldest, and she is going to be a senior at Calvin University. It's amazing to think of that. And she is in the speech pathology program. And then our son Will is right behind her too. He's going to be a junior at Calvin, and he's in the social work program. And both of them are in Grand Rapids, living and working there through the summer also. And go ahead and go to the next slide. Yep. And this week, I spent some time reading 1 Thessalonians 5, and so as I share with you, I want to just share a few verses that I read from that chapter. So 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 5 says, "You are children of the light and children of the day. We do not belong to the night or to the darkness." And when I read that verse, it made me reflect on the darkness that I'm seeing in Nicaragua, too. Sticks out to me when Pastor Lynn mentioned how our country is a country that is free, and that's not the case in so many places around the world. And one other thing that's happening in Nicaragua, you can go ahead and go to the next slide, is what's happening and been happening all over the world, too, in COVID-19. And it's really bad in Nicaragua right now, especially. It's been spiking lately, and just last week I had a good friend, Nicaraguan friend, who contacted me and let me know that he and his wife both have COVID now, which is even more frightening in Nicaragua too, where the healthcare system isn't great. And so they asked me to lift them up in prayer too. So please pray with me for our friends in Nicaragua that are recovering from COVID. And at NCA, at our school, throughout the year, it went very well, actually, COVID-wise. So we didn't have too much of an impact as far as cases at the school until the very end of the school year. And then we had a number of students and several teachers that came down with COVID, which for the teachers was especially disheartening because when that happened at the end of the year, that meant they wouldn't be able to fly back to the U.S. to spend some time with their family right away at least. And so they're waiting to recover and to get a negative test to be able to return to the U.S. to spend some refreshing time with their family. And so again, pray with me for those teachers that are recovering from COVID right now and desire to make it back to the U.S. To be able to spend some time with their families. And let's see, the next verse that I wanted to share with you, again, 1 Thessalonians 5, and this is verse 8. It says, "But since we belong to the day, let us be sober, putting on faith and love as a breastplate, and the hope of salvation as a helmet." And when I read that verse, it creates a picture in your mind, right, of a soldier getting ready. And what I was thinking about was if you put a breastplate on, I'm kind of guessing that a soldier is not able to tie the buckles in the back. They need some help putting that on. And that made me reflect on our teachers at NCA and how it's their desire to come alongside the students at NCA and help them put on that breastplate of love and faith and that helmet of salvation to be able to send them out. And one of my responsibilities at NCA is to fill any open teaching positions that we've had. And it has been incredible to see how God has been at work to be able to fill those positions. And so we have, I was able to hire a first grade teacher, a third grade teacher, a secondary math teacher, a new high school principal. And so if you can imagine, considering coming to a country where there's some civil unrest as well as in the middle of COVID. And so it's just been amazing to see God at work in filling those positions. I do still have one more position, though, and it's a secondary social studies teacher position. And so if you know of anybody, please touch base with me and also pray with me, too, that we can fill that final position so that we have everybody that we need whenever the school year starts up again in August. All right. Go ahead and go to the next slide. I want to talk about just one more thing that I'm planning on working on in the future. And I'm hoping to start a 501c3 nonprofit organization here in the U.S. To help NCA. And there'll be a number of ways that can benefit NCA. One of which is just to make it easier for our teachers to be able to raise support, to be able to serve at NCA. But another thing that I'm hoping to be able to do with that is to raise some scholarship funds that we can use to help support some of our students at NCA. We have had 4 students that have graduated from NCA, come to the U.S., gone to college, and become teachers, and then return to teach at NCA. And so it's been incredible for us to see over the short history of our school to have some students come back and become teachers at NCA. However, all of those teachers have been missionary kids. And what I would love to see is some of our Nicaraguan students to take that same path. Okay, for them to graduate from NCA, come to the U.S., go to college to become a teacher, and then return to Nicaragua as a teacher. And so my hope is to raise some scholarship funds to make that possible and to begin that process of working with some of our students to do that. It gets me excited just thinking about that, too, the possibility that as we get some Nicaraguan teachers who then might become a principal someday, and then someday maybe the director of the school too, which I would love to see happen. And I think you can go ahead and go to the last slide. And again, just asking you for prayers for everything, and keep that in mind too. Please pray with me as I work to put that together, and we work with students to move in that direction. And then the final verse that I want to share with you from 1 Thessalonians 5 is verse 11. And verse 11 says, "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing." And I really give that verse to you guys as a congregation who have encouraged my family, who have prayed for us, who have supported us, and made it possible for us to serve with NCA. And I am thankful for how God has worked through you guys in that way, too. So thank you. I'll mention real quick, too, that Sheila would have my email address, and I'd love to touch base with any of you guys who might want to talk more. Go ahead and touch base with Sheila, and she can give that to you and get in touch with me. Also, we send out regular email updates, and if you're not getting those email updates, again, Sheila could give you my email address, and I'd love to get you on that list, too. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Sounds like everybody's getting them then. Wonderful. Thank you.